Can I go and see my two sons I haven't seen in 10 weeks? Can I go and see them today and maintain 2 metre distance, yes or no?
As far as I would be concerned, I do not speak for the government. As long as you maintain social distancing in what you do, okay, that will not allow
the problem, Andrew Bridgen. You see, what you've just said is completely against the new rules, as stated. So there you are, a Conservative member of Parliament who thinks you know exactly what Boris Johnson has been saying, and yet you've just told me to do something I'm not allowed to do. So this is the problem, isn't it? There is no clarity. It's a load of old flannel talking about controlling the virus, and you, as a leading, high-profile Conservative politician, haven't got a clue about what these rules actually mean. And you're an MP. You're part of this.
Piers, I did hear your diatribe against the Prime Minister earlier on. What you've got to remember...
When you say diatribe, let me explain what my diatribe is. We have, according to the government's own graphs, and you can spin them any way you like, the second worst death toll in the world, and that's just the deaths that we're declaring at 31,000. The real figure, according to any detailed analysis of the ONS figures, is over 55,000 people. It's an absolute national disgrace when you compare it to almost any other country in the world. We've had no testing. Our Deputy Chief Medical Officer said we didn't need testing, it wasn't appropriate, so we stopped doing it, which was a total scandal. We've had no PPE for the NHS frontline workers and care home workers, which is why over 200 of them have died. It's an absolute national disgrace. And when you come on and say, I heard your diatribe against Boris Johnson, the diatribe is because so many people have died, and so many people are continuing to die. And yet, even today, yesterday, Boris Johnson announces, oh yeah, we're going to bring in quarantine at the airports 3 months after other countries did this. 3 months after countries like China and South Korea did this. After 6 weeks after New Zealand and Australia did it. Why are we not doing it before? Why have we decided that our experts seem to know so much more than everybody else's, that we can plough our own little lonely furrow, and then we end up on your graphs, your government graphs, with the second worst death toll in the world? So don't tell me that I'm launching a diatribe against Boris Johnson. I'm holding Boris Johnson to account. I'm holding Boris Johnson to account for a shambles, an absolute shambles from start to finish. That's what I'm doing.
I'm sure there's going to be a full inquiry into everything every government around the world has done to deal with this unprecedented global pandemic. But now's not the time for that. Now is the time for dealing with the issues. That's what the Prime Minister...
Actually, now is the time, Andrew Bridgen, because we're still relying on the same experts. The government still passes the buck in every single time they speak. They keep saying, we're following the expert advice. I would argue that our experts have been following very different advice and giving it very differently to our government to most other countries in the world, including airports. 90% of the world's countries have taken far more draconian action than us at airports. So I'm not really so convinced that we should be blindly following our experts, given that they don't think we should have been shutting down any part of our airports to 18 million people for 3 months, bringing this virus to this country. I'm sorry. It's called common sense.
I have an airport in my constituency, East Midlands Airport. It's a huge employment hub for the constituency, and it's the biggest cargo handler, dedicated cargo handler airport in the UK. So that's still operating to an extent. But you have to remember, Piers, that we are a very densely populated country, the densest populated country in Europe. And also London is the #1 destination. It's the #1 for business from around global business. And also it's the most visited by foreign visitors.
Stop making excuses. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
I'm giving you the facts.
Germany has had a quarter of the deaths that we've had. Germany's a bigger country by 20 million people. Germany has 20 million more people than us. It's a lot of flannel when you start talking about how brilliantly we're doing. Please stop it. You talk about insulting intelligence. This insults everybody's intelligence. All right, we've got to go to a break. Thank you, Andrew Bridgen. We'll come back with our two experts.